slide. Fill up my screen here. I'll continue to let people in. I do my best to kind of, it's like you need a class just on how to handle the chat, the the page, sharing your screen. Next thing you know, you've been talking forever and you haven't shared your screen, or anything like that. So hopefully I am sharing my screen. I will just continue to, I know there'll be some people that will continue to ask to get in for the next few minutes. And then after that, I will look at the chat periodically. Don't worry, I will get to any questions you put. I'll come down, here and always get in it. But I know once I get going, I do have some notes I'm going to kind of follow because I can get distracted, y'all, and I can just get talking, and that can be a problem. I want you guys to walk away tonight with really learning something and hopefully, really changing the way you've been looking at your diet. So, if you're new to following, LBC altogether, I am Amy Ledeen. I'm the co-owner of Lean Bodies Consulting. We've actually been online now for 20 years. This is like before Facebook. We actually had a forum. How many of you used to visit forums? It's kind of like Reddit, right? Where it's like if you're totally involved. Eric used to have like a Q&A thread over at Sioux Country. If you are familiar with Hydroxycut, Eric did all the transformations for Hydroxycut back in the day. He was on Bridezilla's. He's been, so he's been all over the place. I have worked for the US Navy as their boot camp instructor. I went on my own fat loss journey, lost 90 pounds 20 years ago, and I've kept it off for 2 decades now. So I go against the statistics of, the statistics are that 95% of people are going to gain their weight back within 3 years. So we don't really have a dieting problem. We have like a numbers problem. We have a problem with making it a lifestyle. So at Lean Bodies, we've, worked with thousands of women over the years, primarily the first decade, probably with mostly competitors, which has actually really helped us, believe it or not, work with this new phase of my life, which is perimenopause and menopause. I mean, I'm not quite at menopause, but I'm at the place where, I am on HRT. And so my body mimics a lot of what that competitor's body did, which is very overly sensitive body, right? So it's really just helped us kind of slowly evolve into working with the older lady. So what I really love to focus on is really building you a diet that is sustainable. And I'm going to give you a link to the recording of me teaching. I have a full 60-minute video where I really teach you the numbers. Like this is like how many exact calories down to the breaking down of the macros and teaching you about it. And you can build your diet that way. I'm assuming most of you already have at least something you've been following, whether it be a diet someone gave you, maybe you're a MyFitnessPal, tracking daily, maybe you've worked with another coach and you kind of keep dabbling back in that. Either, you've followed something at this point. What I want to focus on is fixing that. It's fixing that in most of us. Okay. So, the person that this is for, this is the person that is, you know, they are the person that gets up and they've got their whole life in MyFitnessPal, or maybe at some point they have, or maybe they kind of go back and forth when life, they go back to it. It's their home base with like, okay, I got to go back to tracking my macros. MyFitnessPal wasn't really around when I was really into macro tracking. I think it was like MyFitDay, but I had a diary there and like I was obsessed with it and I constantly went into it. And the decision fatigue was just really, really, getting to me. So this is for that person that has the MyFitnessPal burnout, the person that has the decision fatigue, that's just like really, really tired of making decisions and like doesn't even know what to eat or what they like to eat, and they're confused on what they can't eat. It's for the person that just really needs the real life sustainability. As you head into summer, I mean, even if you aren't really affected by it in terms of like you don't have children, there is something about summer that's kind of ingrained into our heads. Like even if it's not a change in maybe work or environment, you definitely get invited to more barbecues during the summer. You definitely get invited. There's just more going on. Most people go on a vacation at some point, during that. And so that was really why, we wanted to do this. But we wanted to focus on, whoops, why macro tracking isn't sustainable. And I don't know why there's red lines on this. This is really weird. Maybe I accidentally drew on this page as I was putting it here, but is because people forget that macro tracking is just a tool. It's not a strategy in that you want to use it forever. You want it because precision does matter. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can never not weigh your food and you never not dial in the numbers. You are going to dial in the numbers. The point of what I'm going to teach you is you dial it in once, you get the work done, and then you put that away and you become someone that feels like they're just like following a menu, and you're going to see what that looks like. But macro tracking isn't sustainable because you do have over 200 decisions, and they say roughly the average person makes over 200 food decisions a day, which really blew me away. But then again, it didn't surprise me because this is probably aging me, but I remember watching Oprah, probably 20 years ago when I was like, 25 years ago. And she was like, if I could just have $1 for every minute that I've thought about food or been obsessive over the next meal, like I'd be even richer than I am, right? So like we make so many decisions around food and it does lead to burnout. It's why it isn't like just because of happen chance. You're not some special unicorn that, how many of you first thing in the morning, if someone was to give you a plate of cupcakes or cookies, you're like, no, I'm good. Because it's like the beginning of the day, right? It's like fresh start, new beginnings. That same plate of cupcakes or cookies at 10 p.m., how many of you feel like you're way more tempted by it? Part of the reason is because of that decision fatigue. Like you've had so many decisions you've needed to make around food during the day that you're like, F it, I'm just going to have it, right? And with summer, without like the structure around it, summer just becomes a diet disaster because then you start telling yourself it's like only July and you're like, okay, come September when the kids are, hey, when things get back in order. Like, are you kidding me? Like, we have to remember that the lifestyle, in order to like really live by like the fit person, is you have to behave like the fit person. She may not be like always weighing her food. I mean, I always say like success leaves clues. When I go on a vacation, I like to look around and see like the fittest people and just see how they live. Like, how do they eat? Are they like, going to the gym while they're here or not? And there's really not one common theme in that all of them work out. I mean, I don't train necessarily at a gym when I'm on vacation. If they have a fun gym, I might play in it. But what I did find one common thing was they all align to some deep rooted behavior that really is what fit people do, whether it be like they drink their water consistently. Maybe they take a morning walk. Maybe training is their anchor. Maybe it's that they stack protein at each meal. Whatever it is, it still aligns when they leave. So you got to have some of that structure all year round. Okay. So the reason why this meals over macros, and that's what we call it, why meals over macros works is because, okay, this has got to be something that I have drawn on my screen, you guys, because it's like now on everything. I got to see how I get rid of that. I don't know. Okay, I'll figure this out. That's just really crazy. It's like showing up now as I scroll through this.
Hit that pencil sign. I think it's hit the pencil one. Let me see.
Is it that one? Oh, see, that says
Oh
green.
no.
I
Or
know.
undo what you've done. It's not bothering us. Keep going.
Okay, because I'm like, man, I'm sorry, guys. Oh, I see that I have it on mine too. I see what you're saying. Okay, hold on. Like it had a little green thing even by my square. Okay, whatever. Okay, so the reason why meals over macros works is because it reduces your decision fatigue. You know what? You're gonna see like a whole new world of living where, honestly, let me grab it. So this is just our dinners on here right now, but like I will show you how this is basically how I incorporate my meal cards. Once I create meal cards, I then, because I'm old school, I'm sorry, I love pen to paper. You can do digital and I will show you digital later, but like I am a good old, I need the card. So then I create cards and they're based on my meals and I'm going to show you how to structure that. And then basically my kids can go through and they create the meal plan. And I just then like, because they see the big name on the card, which is the name of the, and you got to get creative because listen, a lot of times it might be like chicken, rice, and or chicken, potatoes, and cheese. That's like on your My Fitness Pal. Call it steak and cheesy potatoes, or call it, something else that you title it so that when then you put the details on these cards, it starts to feel more like it's a meal. So it's going to start to feel easier to be consistent because there's going to be no excuse to not build a meal card for something. It's hilarious. Like I have a client that she recently, reached out and we are building some new meal cards and she's like, so on the way to work, I stopped and I looked over and realized that I didn't have my breakfast pancakes with me, my protein pancakes. Well, I was driving through Starbucks and I knew there was nothing I could get there. Like that was her comment, right? And I was like, I'm going to go on the website right now and see if I can build her a meal card based on her protein, her calories. And sure, it's not going to match her macros exactly, but I'm going to teach you how what we believe in, a calories protein approach, just makes it so much more flexible. So I immediately sent it back to her and she was like, wow, I'd never thought that I could actually like eat here. And I said, okay, so here's the key. Put it on a meal card now. Go transfer this out of the email. Put it on an actual card so that you can start to put that in rotation. If you want to have Starbucks every Thursday on your way to work, you can pull out that meal card and know that it's going to work. So it allows you to really start to get consistent because what I say to everyone is like, what is more superior to a macro split is the person's compliance to the macro split. Like, I mean, I lost my weight on Weight Watchers, a really shitty macro split. In fact, like probably 50 grams of protein a day. I lost 90 pounds that way. You want to know how? Because I stuck to that, like that point ceiling. I honored it. My integrity to those points was like, I will do it. So, but with Weight Watchers and where I do praise Weight Watchers was they didn't demonize foods. It was like if you could fit it into the 28, I started with 28, I ended with 18 after I lost all the weight. But if you could fit it in your points, you could have it. So when I had 28 points to play with during the day, if I saw that peanut M&Ms, a whole bag, which was not very big, was 5 points. Well, when I had 28 to spare, I could make the choice, again, a choice, because we all have that choice to then have that. Now, as I got down to 18 points, I started to learn because I'd honored the ceiling, and you guys will learn that too later with some of the other stuff that I'm going to share with you. If you can learn to honor that, it's your consistency that's always going to, override. And like I said, learning that nothing's off limits. If you want to have something, you can build it in. My daughter, I make these chocolate chip cookies for church for the cafe. It's gone out of control because I'm competitive and I want to be known. So now not only do I do sourdough donut holes, I do like 200 chocolate chip cookies. And so I wanted to put it in Chronometer because I was just curious, like, I make so many of these. I put them in each little cookie dough, like a measure. How many calories are there? Figured it out. And, if you have a Chronometer account, it really pulls out like a full-on nutrition label. It's really cute. It looks like you just got it in the store. And so I have those. Long story short, my daughter's like, is there any way I could build? She's 23. She's like, can I build a meal card with like those cookies on the meal plan? I'm like, as long as we can hit your protein and calories, let's see how many you could fit in. And so what did she do one night? Built in two of the cookies with her meal, created a meal card. She now will have that on rotation when she feels like she wants to have it, right? So nothing's off limits and really teaching yourself that. So here's a couple examples here. This is someone in the group, in our Look Like You Train group. She's got, like me, I tell you, some of us, we're just old school. We want to have like this, the actual cards. She's got them all labeled. Here's a couple samples of some of mine. So as you can see, and I'll show you a bigger version. In the top left of my card is what I'm going to call my original, template, the diet that we're going to create tonight. From that's when you start to create alternates to that. So let's say, and we'll go through it. Let's say that you've broken down your meals and for breakfast, you've decided that you're going to allocate 350 calories at breakfast. And right now, currently, as your diet stands and you're hitting your protein amounts that, requirements, let's say that you are right now eating 25 grams there. So 350 calories and 25 grams. You can now start to create an abundance of other carbs with alternatives to that, still hitting your calories. And then here's the trick. It just needs to hit 70% of that protein amount, because there's trace protein amounts in other foods that you're going to put in at that meal, and to not stress over it. And let's say that you're out and about, let's say your original template calls for 25 grams and you're at Starbucks and you're like, well, how can I have this fit? Because I need to hit 350 calories and my original meal plan calls for 25. I just calculate, okay, well, what's 70% of this? And then I match it up. And you'll start to see, like here, this is just an example because I do have digital versions of my meal cards as well, where every single one of these cards here, whether it be the chicken quesadillas, the fries supreme, the chicken couscous salad, the taco salad, all of them have 500 calories. That's one of my calorie amounts. Now, the carbs and the fat breakdown will vary because it's based on the recipe. And we're trying to teach you that that matters less. What matters is to be smart. And I'm going to tell you that tonight we are going to do a bonus night tomorrow night. Eric is going to do a second night where he's going to really take you through more of this phase of life and why you need to be having carbohydrates. And please do not do the low carb, how it really does not work well for you. But what we try to teach you is to kind of take a pause back and go, okay, well, it's obvious that on training days, I should want to pair that with carbohydrates because I'm going to learn from Eric tomorrow night that this is really going to favor me well. And so I might even label them within my meal cards as some that are lower carb. Those might be like my salad cards and things like that. But for the most part, you start to learn that what matters most is your calories and your protein. Okay. So why does this matter for summer? Well, I'll admit summer was a bit of a gimmick in that I really wanted to be like, let me fix your diet. But I will say that summertime is a time where I tend to switch up my meal cards. I'm making a lot more hoagies. I'm doing a lot more of those little slider sandwiches. We're eating out a bit more. I just found at Costco those bear chicken, those bear naked, they kind of are like the Chick-fil-A nuggets and you air fry them. Oh my gosh, we've been doing those like on soccer night. Like again, really trying to, I'm still totally aware and I'm staying intentional. Like I'm not a big believer in like just cave and succumb. I'm a big believer in like map out your week. Okay, Thursday night is soccer night. I'm not going to get home till 8. It's an air fryer night. Okay, let me go through my meal cards. What do I have that works with that? Right. So this is where this really, really solves so much during summer. Okay. So we're going to do this as a whole, and then I'm going to call on someone in here. But when I'm going through this with a client, I always start with, like they'll send a questionnaire in and it'll ask on there, like, ideally, how many meals would they like to have in a day? And then I immediately, after I see that amount, I go see at what time they wake up and what time they go to bed, because then I'm going to already in my head start to be spacing out their day and how I think. And then I look at their training time. Because if they're like, let's say they're like a 5 a.m. wake up person because they train, say, like at 5:30, and they're up until 9:30 at night, that's a long wake up time to have to master whatever their calories may be, right? So this is where meal timing and the consistency of your meal timing really matters. Okay. So I'll first start by asking you, how many meals do you want to have a day? And you have to remember that there's a couple things that no matter what you have to hit. You got to be able to hit those protein requirements. So you may want 3 meals a day, but if you've got 150 grams to eat, 50 grams of protein at each meal would be pretty hard, right? It might be hard to start to do. Now you could do 3 bigger meals with the smaller evening. Like I have a lot of ladies that post dinner, like let's say they eat dinner at like 7, at 8:30, so it's not even that much longer later because they might go to bed at like 9:30. They're gonna have this little Greek yogurt or Ninja Creamy stacked with some high fiber fruit, because it's kind of a trick, and Eric will talk again about that tomorrow night when he talks about the breakdown of, glucose and just, your blood sugar and regulation and all of that, that he will explain more of the importance of that, but essentially kind of stacking one more meal. But you do have to know that you got to hit the protein amounts no matter what, right? And then you want to then from there go, okay, well, do I have any meals that I really love? Like, do I have some in my MyFitnessPal currently that they are like my go-tos? Like maybe it's my oatmeal in the morning. That just seems to be the thing or my protein pancakes. Like, if you've got some meals like that, that might be some anchors that we start to use as we lay out this new diet that we're going to create, right? And then, of course, requirements are you got to have protein at each meal. That's the only requirement in terms of carbohydrates and fats. That's up to you. In my build, how to like build your initial diet workshop that I do, that's a full hour, and I'll link that. That will show you how to do your breakdown if you really want to like dissect down to making a training day diet and an off day, because our clients have two templates that we build them. And in Look Like You Train, everyone that, so we have one-to-one clients, and then of course we have our group coaching, Look Like You Train. In Look Like You Train, you get your training program and everything, but we also have built diet templates. Now, it's not based on the foods that you may necessarily like, but since you know now about meal cards, what it is based on is your current weight, and then the template there for you to go take and plug and play. So they have that with knowing the proteins at each meal. Okay. And then of course, when I'm building a diet for someone, where are your problem areas? Like, do you struggle at night? Or are you someone that's like, Amy, afternoon time seems to be my biggest obstacle. And maybe it's lack of having some food, maybe it's, lack of structure, but I always like to see where those problem areas are. So for me, I am someone that I used to really struggle in the night. So I always was a kind of calorie heavier in my afternoon. So I literally can have like a protein shake in the morning, and that is it. I drink a clear protein shake. It's very easy. It's like 80 calories, 20 grams of protein. I'm not even hungry. Then I'll train. Then I'll have like my post workout. But really, I even keep my post workout to a shake and like an English muffin, because as my afternoon rolls around, I have a lunch meal, a dinner meal. They're both 500 calories each. And then I have my Ninja Creamy meal, right? And it's because I used to cheat all the time in the evening. Well, now when I have these back to back to back nice heavy meals, I have no excuse. Like, I've just been compliant for years. I can just kind of pretty much build whatever I want in as long as I plan for it. Okay. So you want to establish that framework for yourself, which is how many meals do you want to have per day? Okay. You know, when you'll be eating around like your real life. So you gotta like, it's gotta be like, your like your work life. You might have two different meal templates, but for the most part, whether it's weekend or weekdays, you're gonna learn that, the more that we've learned about ghrelin and leptin, and these are your dieting hormones that are for hunger and satiety, the more that you regulate them, it helps with, the more consistent you are with your meal timing, the easier it controls the hunger and fullness that have experience. So this is why, and it's very common with women that skip meals all day, right? Like, you're not hungry all day. Like, I hear this from my mom all the time. I'm not hungry, Amy, I'm not. And then roll around like 7 or 8 p.m., she can't even get satisfied. What she's not realizing is she has dysregulated ghrelin and leptin because she has no consistency in her meal timing. Now, at first, it might get hard for her to actually stoke the fire of waking up those hormones by establishing a breakfast. But even if it's a small one, you want to start establishing these anchors throughout your day and having that consistency. Your body needs it, especially at this phase of life when they are way more sensitive. They just are. Okay. So, you're also going to want to distribute your calories. Like, as I just mentioned, I eat very little in the morning, especially if I'm in a deficit. Right now I'm at maintenance, so I'm eating, 2,140 calories, and I only weigh 135. So I have a lot of calories to eat during the day. So even my breakfast now is pretty heavy. But when I'm dieting, the first two places I strip calories from is that meal one, and then usually it's my Ninja Creamy mix-ins because I'm so spoiled with like so many right now. So, but it's still having establishment to my meals, right? So your fix starts with you plot your protein first, right? You're gonna like establish that you got to hit that protein amount, and at least, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. Layer in your carbs and your fats strategically. Like, I tell people, you can go watch my hour long and it really breaks it down for you. But you're going to see based on your lifestyle that, hey, maybe on your days that you're not training, maybe at dinner, cut out the carbs and replace those calories that you would have allotted for carbs towards some more fats, just because the Mediterranean style of diet is a bit better for us as we get older and we do have more sensitivities. However, you do not want to become a carb fear monger. And if your family's having tacos tonight and you want to have freaking tacos, have the tacos, as long as you match your calories and your protein, right? So, tomorrow night, Eric will go a little bit more on the nutrition fix in terms of the fruit at night, but a couple things that you'll want to really prioritize as you're building them, and this is because a lot of people they don't think of it, and there's some quick little fixes that we'll do as I share the example later with whoever we call on, and that is, fiber. You need to prioritize your fiber. I know we talked about protein, and protein is like, I don't know about you, but is it everywhere? Like it is being talked about freaking everywhere, so we're kind of getting tired of it. But hopefully you're still remembering that you need to be hitting that protein. And so that may require that your initial, this little template that you build, you need to at least build that original diet based on having 25 to 30 grams of daily, fiber. What does that look like for you? Berries, like it's very easy to stack that in, like usually my breakfast will have some berry, my oatmeal will have some berries in it. Or say like at my last meal, like I said, the Greek yogurt one, avocado. Some of the ladies in the group or clients of mine have bought that Royo bread. I've shared it on the page every now and then. ROYO. It's like live sprouted. It's got like 34 grams of fiber for one bagel, right? So a lot of ladies, like 3 times a week, they'll just have one of those in one of their meal cards. They build it in just to ensure it. I actually take a fiber supplement. I do a fiber and greens like drink. It's become just, easy for me, but you do want to ensure, especially at this phase of life, that you are incorporating fiber. Okay. If you are having the 3 a.m. wake up, or if you are waking up in the middle of the night, the fruit at night has been established to be that trick for us to you'd be shocked like that if you pair a little bit of this, it can be Greek yogurt, it can be a protein shake, pair it with a high fiber fruit, berries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries are my favorite, and you really don't need a lot, like 30 calories worth of it. Pair that as like a post dinner, before bed, like hour before bed, and it usually helps regulate that blood sugar and you won't have that 3 a.m. wake up. Um, and then, of course, anchoring your breakfast with, like I do my little fiber drink in the morning when I do my protein shake, but you could do oats, you could do, something, with chia seeds in it. Like, again, kind of like looking for the things that you like that will still add some of that in. This has been proven to reduce evening overeating and just the meal timing consistency. And then, of course, full meals, not grazing. And you know what? This used to offend me because I lost my weight. I am a product of a grazer. Okay. So I was the person that had a big veggie because veggies were free with Weight Watchers. And so I would just eat veggies all day. Like I would eat like a whole head of cauliflower. Like I did not learn any regulation of my digestive system. The problem with that was when I was out of the safety of my own home, my digestive system, I didn't know the science back then, but it was on overdrive because guess what? It's waiting to have its food. Well, now I don't have the safety of those foods. And instead, I have all these calorically dense foods. So I would go on vacation and literally gain 5 to 10 pounds, like no joke. So I just didn't learn that grazing keeps your digestion on. Like there's just so much about it. And believe it or not, psychologists consider it high risk behavior. And I was like, the hell, high risk behavior? What you talking about? And they're like, hear me out here. Like, like it's that, without the safety of that environment, you're really not learning the power of sitting, letting that full meal digest, even scanning it. Like, man, they do so many cool studies now that your eyes, they just study with a group of people that all they did was sit and scan their eye for an additional 3 minutes before eating their food. So they just sit there and just look at their food for 3 additional minutes. Those people, and they were IBS sufferers. These people had dramatic reduction in their irritable bowel syndrome because your eyes have a special ability to scan, and it knows to turn on certain hormones, whether it be like a saliva gland to get things going, to get the juices going, which then helps your digestion. Like we just have incredible bodies that there's a reason for everything, right? So, okay, we're at the halfway point. Do I have someone that is willing to at least, if as long as they have like an established diet, I don't really, like don't worry, you're not good. It doesn't have to be like perfect, or maybe it is. And maybe you're like, hey, I want to know how we can build this. Um, Comment it in the chat. I really hope someone is going to be like, all right, I will. You don't even have to turn your camera on. And we're going to go through your diet. Do we have anyone that's willing? Everyone quiet? Okay. All right. Bonnie. Bonnie is going to do it. Okay, so Bonnie, unmute yourself.
Hi,
Hi, Bonnie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Okay, so how long have you been following LBC?
Pretty not consistently. You've been popping up on my Facebook page all the time, and I
Okay.
love everything you have to say, and it's been drawing me in.
Oh, I'm excited. Well, what a way to put you on the spot tonight. All right, so Bonnie, you're going to give me some of your stats first and foremost, and let me share my screen as well.
I'm gonna go to my Fitness Pal because that's where
Oh,
I
I
track a
am
lot.
so excited. That makes me even more excited. I love it when we've got like a MyFitnessPal person. Okay. So we're going to identify any missing structure. Okay. We're going to rebuild it based on the meal card approach. I'm really going to take you through. I have a screenshot of some notes from my own notes that I built for a client myself. Um, so Bonnie, okay, let me first ask you, like, are you in a fat loss phase right now? Like, are you trying to actively lose fat right now?
I am,
Okay.
and people might kill me because I don't have a lot to lose,
Okay.
which
No,
is
that's actually
challenging.
usually the hardest. The last 10
Yes.
is harder. Okay, so you're in a fat loss phase. How long have you been following the meal plan or the macro split that you've been following?
I go on and off.
Okay. Okay.
So I was really good. I had lost it down to, I had like 5 pounds left.
Okay.
And then I went crazy over Christmas and I haven't even been able to get, and I gained 5 back. And I've been teetering with this 5 and 10, five
Okay.
and 10.
Okay. Okay. Which we and listen, you may learn that like tomorrow night, Eric you may learn through that you need a dieting break, and it might be a time for you to have a season of rebuilding the engine, right? But the rules in terms of like building this type of strategy with meal cards applies. Like I said to you guys, whether I'm dieting, the only thing that changes are like the first and fifth meal. My meat, I call them my meat meals. That's my lunch and dinner. Those pretty much stay the same because I've learned over the years as I build meal cards for all of these, meals, I want to build a huge Rolodex so that I keep building on that. So, how many meals now? Okay, so do you eat consistently at the same times each day, or does that change whether you're dieting or not?
Roughly consistent, except
Okay.
now I've been kind of getting into more weight training.
Okay.
And then my daughter and I have had this consistent conversation how people are saying, you need to wake up and eat right away before you go to the gym. So I've been throwing in like a little yogurt with a little tablespoon of like grape nut cereal for the crunch.
Oh, I love it.
Um,
We're totally going to build that in. And yes, you're right. You do need to be eating before, like, and whether it be like at the very least, you need to be drinking some EAAs because you need to have about 10 grams of protein pre-workout. So for those of you that are like, "Ugh, I just don't even like to eat in the morning," or maybe you're like, hey, I have such a big long day. I don't want to have a ton of calories first thing when I wake up because I'm not even hungry anyways. Why would I want to waste calories there, right? So, okay, so the morning you get up, you have
so
some,
if I'm doing a 7 a.m. class, you're saying wake up even earlier to eat something?
well, if you're doing a 7 a.m. class, then you're going to need to get up at 6:30 and drink something on the way there. I drink either a half a scoop of my clear protein, which would be like, like I even have the little sticks. So I have these Seek clear protein ones, and by protein, what I mean is when it dissolves, it literally looks like juice. I'm currently on chemotherapy, and because of that, like the food, the creaminess, the milkiness just makes me want to gag. But this stuff, so I just take half of this, shake it up in a water bottle, and I just sip on that. Like if you're driving to the gym or if it's in your
Yep,
basement, whatever, you can just have that before. Okay.
perfect.
Because otherwise, you're in a catabolic state. And remember, right now at this phase of life, we are chasing muscle. Like muscle is the medicine that we want. I just went to the most fantastic conference in Las Vegas where I got to listen to Dr. Vonda Wright and I got to listen to Dr. Mary Claire Haver. And everything was just exactly what we've been teaching, which is like, you need to be strength training, right? We need to make this part of our daily life. So, okay, so good. So you're getting up then. Now, how many meals do you have per day? So you get up right now, you're getting up at 7. What time do you go to bed?
11.
Okay. Right. So we're going to want to fix that because I mean, are you falling asleep and staying asleep? Do you have good sleep?
Yes, good sleep.
Okay, so that's good. That's one thing. So let's assume that you're like falling asleep right at 11. You wake up at 7. Okay, so sleep's okay. Um, are you eating about 5 meals right now?
Yes.
Okay. How and what do you currently weigh?
I'm 138.
138. Okay. So, and when are you most hungry, Bonnie?
Probably in the middle of the day,
Okay, midday. Okay. All
but
right.
I don't really get hungry because I feel like those meals hold me. Um,
Yes, and if you are a consistent meal-timed eater, you're going to notice that the only thing that will start to happen is about 30 minutes before that next meal, you'll feel the like you want to, but you're not hungry. That's a good sign. That's
yes.
a healthy metabolic, sign. Okay, so that's good. Okay. So from there, we're going to structure her outline. Okay, I'm going to show you a little sample here, but basically, we're going to establish her daily calories first and her protein. And then now knowing that she's going to have 5 meals per day, we can break down that protein over it. Okay, so let me give you an example of someone else. Let's say that they get up at 7 a.m. and they have their pre-workout. This almost could be you. Let's pretend it says 6:30. She's going to have
Yep.
either like her EAAs and coffee. Essentially, she just needs to have 10 grams of protein. Okay. Then this person's going to have a post workout, right? Now, your numbers, we're going to give you your exact numbers, but this person's numbers are right here. Okay. Like she's going to have a protein and a carb, roughly 300 calories, roughly 25 grams of protein. Then her lunch is also it's a protein, carb and fat, whatever, 350 calories again, 30 grams of protein, a protein, carb and fat at dinner. And then she's got this evening snack, either yogurt, cottage cheese, berries, and she allocated 250 calories there. And you're going to decide your own allocation. I'm going to help Bonnie here, but here's an example here of a lady that I had. She was 128 pounds. Her goal was fat loss. Okay. So I already do the math. We're going to test her caloric deficit at 11 times body weight. When you watch my other video on how to build your initial like calories for a diet to actually test a caloric deficit, it's 11 times your current body weight with a few exceptions. Go watch that video. In fact, let me put that in the chat now before I forget. Because that will just help you really dial in your numbers. If you're like watching this tonight and you're like, you know what, I don't know, maybe I need to go back and like refix first my original numbers because I'm not sure. This is if you're testing the deficit. If you already know that you need a dieting break and you need to go up to like say maintenance, then I would actually start at 12 times body weight because you're going to go up from there to 15. 15 times body weight should be where all of you ladies are maintaining. Go do the math. If that freaks you the F out, then that means you've been under eating for a lot of freaking years. Now,
I've been under eating for many years.
okay. So you're still going to want to test your deficit, Bonnie, at 11 times body weight because at the end of those 2 weeks of testing it, and I'd say maybe 2, it might even be 4, because if let's say at 2 weeks, nothing really changes, I would tell my client, let's do another 2 because let's see if you have any movement. If at that point, that person pretty much like hold steady in what should theoretically be a deficit. Okay, we already know that there's some metabolic red flags and it's time to take them up because we got to reset their body to be at a true maintenance. Because here's the thing, if Bonnie is maintaining at say like 1400 calories, What does she got to eat 900 just to lose? Because that's what it'd be. Okay, so you got to remember this when you're looking for your long-term approach. But we'll do your exact numbers. But let's say, if she was 128, it'd be 1410. So we're going to do Bonnie's, and I'm going to just get out my calculator and go 128 times, or excuse me, 138 times 11. So you do the math for yourself, okay? So she's going to have 1500 and 18 calories. Let's just call it 1520. Now I already know, and you're going to see from my workshop that you got to establish that you're going to eat fish oil. You're going to supplement fish oil. Fish oil is roughly going to have about 27 to 30 calories for a good, reputable, high quality resourced one. So you're going to want to take that off the top right away. So for Bonnie, she's going to go from 1520 to 1490 left. And we already know that she wants 5 meals. So notice with this person right here, she also wanted 5 meals and she had, about 100 calories less than you, Bonnie. So we can look at that, knowing that we can even kind of sprinkle it in similar to her. So she needed to have, after she deducted that, and knowing that you weigh 138, so you're going to have 1490 calories left, and you need to have 138 grams of protein. Now, if we were dividing that evenly, and if you all, for the sake of math, wanted to, you could, just take that and divide it by your meals, 138 divided by 5. And that would tell me that she would have roughly about 28 grams per meal. It's still a good number to know because I'm probably going to still stack like her lunch and dinner a bit higher, knowing that breakfast, I like to usually allocate 20 to 25 at their breakfast, knowing that they maybe won't have as heavy of a protein. Maybe it's going to be some eggs. Believe it or not, a whole egg and some egg whites is really not like a ton of protein in it. You'd be surprised. You really get a lot of your protein from like your chicken, your meat, your, things like that, right? So going through this and knowing Bonnie, I would then want to ask her, like, so she knows that she's got to get up now at like, say, 6:30. So we would put on here, okay, meal 1 is 6:30 in the morning. It's going to be her pre-workout, which will be either half a scoop of protein powder or her EAAs. If it's someone else, like let's say that you don't work out for a couple hours, you could totally allocate a regular meal there, right? This becomes a game of like, imagine you're balancing a checkbook, right? You've got X amount of money to spend and you need to spend it all. That's the same here. We're going to spend all of her 1490 and 138 grams of protein roughly, right? So at her first meal, like she said, she's not hungry. So we're only going to allocate probably 40 calories for that little pre-workout protein. And then if she does want to have though, like coffee creamer or allocate something like that, we would put that in. So as you see with this client, we allocated for her 80 calories. And then I marked here because she's going to have either the EAAs or a half a scoop of protein powder. This then would give her 10 grams of protein.
Okay.
Good question, Nicole. What if you weigh 250? Is there a max amount of calories a person? Okay. So I have a client right now, actually, she started at 258. Now, depending on, that's when I usually will ask someone like, I want to know your height. Because there is a difference between someone being like 5 feet tall and 250 and someone that's like, I mean, she's like 5'11" and 250, right? So while she's still overweight, the degree of weight, like how much you need to lose, you would do what we call a reverse taper. So for someone like you, Nicole, we would probably, depending on, how tall you are, you would then do your multiple times about like 8. So you're 5'10". Okay, so you're a bit taller. So I would probably still try to test your deficit around 9. Like I started my client around 9 times. She was eating 2,400. She's down 18 pounds eating 2,400. And you know what? She freaked out at first because she had done like a real extreme diet before and she was afraid of doing that. And I kept saying, we're going to go because we were going to maybe do a reverse right away with her. She knew she needed to like bring calories up. But yes, try it this way. You'll be so happy you have something that's more sustainable. Okay, so then going from there, so Bonnie, you get home from the gym. Do you have a post-workout? What do you usually do?
I do. I make a shake. I have a few favorite breakfasts, but I'll do my typical shake.
Okay,
So I'll grab a handful of either kale or spinach or Swiss chard,
okay,
something green.
okay,
I have a protein powder. what's the brand? It's highly rated, so I've been doing really well with it. It's called Vanilla Ice Cream, but the brand is Prestige Lab.
Okay. And you have
And that's
post-workout?
it's 130 calories and it's 20 grams of protein.
Okay, that's great. So you definitely have that, and then you'd want to pair a carbohydrate. So all of you post-workout, that's the one place that your body is really, really favored to have replenish it with carbohydrates. I mean, you don't have to have a lot of them, but I usually program no less than 160 calories worth. Okay, so let's call your shake 130. Maybe you might even add a little bit of almond milk to it. I'm not sure, but and then let's add in there to make it an even 300. I'm going to add 170 calories of a carbohydrate. So giving you about 300 calories there at that meal. And roughly, even though your protein shake is 20 grams, remember when you're building meals, even in MyFitnessPal, you know yourself, there's what we call trace proteins, right? In your other things. So even though your primary protein source might be 22 grams at that meal, then that person has a tortilla and some cheese. And next thing you know, they've got, on your original template, and I say template meaning like you want to build your what does your perfect day look like template. You can do it in MyFitnessPal. And then from there, we're going to then create these meal cards. So your MyFitnessPal, Bonnie, would have meal one as having half a scoop of this like clear protein or EAAs. And all of you could do this, right? Like your first meal, you plug in there. Okay. Then you'd allocate your coffee creamer or whatever it is. So now you've established that meal one, Bonnie is spending 80 of her calories. Okay. And we just established that. Now we've got our post workout and we're going to establish that she is going to spend 300 of her calories and 25 grams of her protein. Okay. Now we're going to get to lunch and dinner and we're going to ask her behaviorally, what's her life like? Is lunch something that she really loves, or is she like at work and it's usually just something like get it down the hatch? Like, again, try to think of your life and what works really well for you. If you are someone that's out at client lunches a lot, holy heck, do not only allocate 300 calories there. You're never going to eat anything more than a salad. Like, be realistic with yourself. Move a bunch of calories there to make that work, but talk yourself through it. So for you, what do your lunches typically look like, Bonnie?
I'll stop at some salad bar and get a ton of greens, whether it's a hot or cold.
Okay.
And I'll put on, I like a chicken thigh and I'll always throw on a thigh of
Okay.
some sort.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay. And what time? Okay. So you're eating. So let's say that let's just pretend you've been having a pre-workout, but you really haven't. So you've been eating, if you've been training at 7, and even if you on non-training days, do you typically eat breakfast around like 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I'll have a protein bar in
Okay.
between breakfast and lunch.
Okay. And okay, so we're going to want to call. So if you're eating there, we're going to want to call that a meal as well. Does that hold you over? Like how many calories
Yes.
is that? Okay.
That's 200.
Okay. So let's see here. So we've got 7 a.m., 80 calories. Okay. Then we've got your 9 a.m. So here's the thing. We may not want to allocate as many for carbs here. Let's just think about this because I was going to allocate, remember, 300 at your post-workout, meaning 130 for your, shake, or 120, and then 170, let's call it 130, 170, making a note here. Because really around 11 a.m., you're having this bar and that's 200 calories and how much protein?
Typically around 20.
Okay. Okay, this will be a great one to play with meal cards because that bar will get tiring. It will be fun for a few days, but what you'll want to do is create a bunch of little meal cards, whether it be like one day I do a beef stick with a yogurt cup and half a serving of fruit. Like all of them will total that 200 calories, but just little changes in your tweaks will really make that become more sustainable because otherwise you'll fizzle out. And you'll want to have some real food things at times. Okay, so we'll come back to breakfast. I may adjust breakfast in a minute, but we've got that. Let's go to lunch. So lunch, you've just been having really a protein and no starchy carbs. Okay.
No.
So we might keep it that way because that might work with calories. Okay. And then that's around like 1 p.m. or 2.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what happens from there?
When I get home from work at about 4:30, 5, I will make like, I'll have an apple and 1 tablespoon of like a mixed nut butter, almond butter, something like that.
Okay. So no protein there, but I mean, we will not call peanut butter a protein source, y'all. That will get me rallied up. Just kidding. But okay,
What, almond
so
butter too?
almond butter too, meaning it's going to have trace amounts, not enough to regulate your blood sugar and not enough to make you really actually feel satisfied. You'll be surprised that if you just paired it even with like an 80-calorie yogurt cup that would have maybe 10 to 12 grams of protein, that's going to help regulate your blood sugar. But again, we're going to see the allocation of your calories. You're going to start to also run out of calories. Now, is dinner your last meal of the day, or do you do a Ninja Creamy at night or an evening thing?
I love the mint chocolate chip Yasso bar.
The Yasso bar. That's what you usually do at night.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing like let's say at 4, okay, 5 o'clock. So dinner is at what time? 6:30?
Yes.
Okay, and what do you usually eat at 6:30?
Grilled chicken, turkey burger, something, and a veggie as well.
Okay,
Like the fact I'm not losing, this seems like it's a pretty good
well, so
diet.
you've got great foods, but I can tell you right now, you're going to be running out of calories because you've got already well, and then you're having that bar at night. How much is the Yasso bar?
100.
Oh, okay, that's just 100 calories. Oh, okay, I know the frozen bars. Okay. And
Yes, yes,
does it have any protein in it at all? Do you know?
it does.
Okay,
Oh, I think I threw the box out because I get it at Costco.
that's okay.
I
That's
don't know if it says it on it. Let's see.
25 there.
It doesn't say.
Let me see here.
I'm gonna look it up.
20 and 10. I'm doing a tally on yours. Okay, so I'm gonna do the tallies on her math right now, you guys, in terms of like if we set it up this way, which is that she's got this pre-workout, she's gonna have 10 grams of protein, and that's really because we just need to hit it. She's then gonna have her post-workout, which we're just gonna allocate the 20 grams of protein from her shake. She's then gonna have that bar at 11 a.m., which remember, we're gonna create other meal cards, whatever, that'll give her 20 grams of protein. Lunch, I allocated really only 25 there because I don't think you're going to need it because you've then also got your afternoon, this apple, almond butter. We are going to have to stack with something. So I did put there a note that I need to stack like 15 grams of protein there, maybe a yogurt cup, which then leaves you dinner with 25 grams and then your bar. And let's just call it even 7 grams because I don't.
It has 5 grams.
5. Okay, 5. Okay, 5. Okay. So I would probably have you stack your bar with 30 calories of like a high fiber fruit at night. So that would give you 130s there. So let me just let's just do the math on your protein and see if we're over, where I'm at 40 plus 5. Okay, so you're at 120. Okay, so we need another 20, about 20 more grams in there. So it's okay. I would add, and that's with really, I added already 15 at your that apple almond butter. You didn't have any there, and you probably haven't been eating anything. So I bet your protein's been a bit lower, but we can add, I'd probably add 35, your dinner. So that added 10 grams. 5 at your post-workout is 15. And then we'll do the last meal at 10. Okay. So now what I have is roughly you having your pre-workout. Maybe I can what could I share here? Let me go to like a new document, just a blank document. Stop share. Let me share here. All right. So and feel free to do yours at the same time, and here's the thing, I always have open email. You want to do the homework and send me an email and go, Amy, this is what I have broken down. I will help you. I love doing this kind of stuff. And I will get to the questions and I'll look in the chat just a second. So Bonnie, we already established, 138 grams of protein. And After taking away fish oil, she's got about 1,490 calories to spend, okay?
How do you do your fish oil?
Fish oil, you can either do a liquid or capsule. You want to look for a high concentrated. In my video where I teach you how to set up your initial diet, I show you like how to even look for a good quality product, because you can think you're getting a good quality product and you'll have to take like 8 capsules. A good quality, a good concentration, about 3 to 4 capsules a day. And there's just too many benefits of fish oil, and most of us do not reach our EFAs with eating a lot of seafood that has it. So it's just a guarantee to have it. So establishing that you take those calories away. Then what we have here is, and this is just how I wrote it, okay? I wrote 7 a.m., 80 calories. And this is what you can do at first, because you're just starting to, you might go back into Fitness Pal after you establish these numbers and build your perfect diet, your first initial diet. And then it's meal cards from there, right? But 10 grams of protein. Then we have her at 9 a.m. We don't know really how many calories yet. We're going to put 300 question mark, but we do know that she needs to have 25 grams of protein there, okay? Then we're going to go next to 11 a.m. She's been having a bar there that's 200 calories. So that really needs to stay that. She likes it. And 20 grams of protein. Okay. 1 p.m. We don't know how many calories yet. So I'm just going to even leave it as an X because we really don't know. We're going to do the math on everything else. But she's got 35 grams of protein that she needs to hit. Then around 4:30 to 5 o'clock, she has a snack of like the apple and almond butter. We don't know how many calories we're going to allocate there, but we do know that she needs to hit 15 grams of protein. Okay. And then 6:30, okay, she's going to have her dinner. Again, we don't know how many calories yet. We're going to do all the math in just a second. And she's got 35 grams of protein that she needs to hit. And then at 8 o'clock, she is eating her bar, and we know that that's 100 calories. And then I want her to add some fiber, because this is the problem with, like, you're going to want to get away from eating a lot of that, like your bar in the morning, I think, or as many meals. I mean, I just say, because the math is the math, because if you start to find that you're never feeling satisfied at certain meals, it may mean shifting some things, and we'll talk about that. But we know that we're going to give you 130 calories at the very least, because I want you to hit 15 grams of protein. So actually, I already know it's probably going to be 160, because I'm going to probably have you pair it with a small yogurt cup, maybe a beef stick, something, even some like an ounce of cheese, something that's going to give you another 6 to 7 grams of protein. In fact, cheese would do that. Okay, so that's what you're roughly doing, all of you. You're starting at least just to kind of roughly spend your protein. We're not quite at the calories yet, but you at least can now see where you're starting to put it together. What if your blood sugar is higher side? Oh, is that what you mean for BS for someone in the Renee? Just elaborate, and I'll come back and look at that. Yeah, if you like cottage cheese is a great one to also create a meal card around. Like, I love cottage cheese. So we see this now. We know she's got 1,490 calories. So if I start to just play around, and let's just say I know she said at lunch she's just really been doing like a salad. So we may take advantage of that and only allocate, say, like 220 calories there. And hear me out, because she's got other stuff during her day that the math is the math. So that might be a high protein, lower calorie type, more bang for your buck, right? So then we'll come here. This is that little snack that she's having. I'm probably going to want to allocate 250, because I know that she likes the almond butter. She's going to want to have an apple, but I got to have her hit that protein as well, right? Then dinner, we're going to come here. I like to allocate no less than 400. And that is because I personally create in our Look Like You Train group, and let me just show you this. And I know we're running over, but there's just so much I want to share, you guys. Hold on. And then we'll finish up Bonnie. Let me find my 400 calorie meals. So in our Look Like You Train group, since I'm big on teaching this, is I have started to create meal cards that are just at even numbers. So I have 350 meal cards, 400 calorie meal cards, where I have gone and taken my own meals that I make and I've made smaller amounts. So like I love Outback. I love their like cheesy fries with the ranch dip. So I created that as a meal. I created fries supreme. If you notice here, the one thing they all have in common is the calorie amount. So all of these are 400. I will even put this in the chat right now. It's not, you can't edit it. So y'all can just have it as a copy. But even if it just inspires you to then create some of your own, like, make them smaller, feel free to look at that. But in our group, I create meal cards all the time, 350. You'll see them on the page. If you follow us out on the main page, most of my meal cards, I have one that's always a 400 calorie. Because I always say, if you're a follower of mine, if you create one of your meals a day that's 400 calories, you will have loads of meals from me, because I always, as my sample to my audience, I will create one there. Okay. So keep that in mind. Now let's go back to, this document. So let's say that we tried to do this. Now we're going to leave this one at maybe 250. Now let me just do the math and let's just see how far off we are from 1490. Okay. So we got 80 plus 250 plus 200 plus 220 plus 250 plus 400 plus 160. She's at 1560. So she's off by about 70 calories. She's 70 calories over. So we could easily pare this down. One is how many calories is your creamer in the morning? Is it 40 calories? Which is fine. I mean, I'm just.
Not even, because I take the Premier Protein.
I love
and
it.
I splash that in.
Even better. I love when people have adopted, like I tell people, if you could buy even one ready to drink, like Core Protein a week, those vanilla ones, use that as your creamer every day. Amazing. Okay. So let's just deduct this and let's take this down to, it's going to be maybe 55 calories. Because again, the math is the math. So I've taken off 25 calories, right? So far I need to take off, it's 1560. I need 1490. I'm off by 70. Is that right? Yeah.
Probably that afternoon snack.
Okay. So 25 off of there. Yes. This one here. It might even be 215. Let me see what the math is now. So let's see. Let's do the math. 55 plus 250 plus 200 plus 220 plus 215 plus 400. Oops. 400. And that puts you at 1500. That's really good. So we're 10 calories off, but point being, and you could not have a 400 calorie meal. I'm not saying you have to, but I'm just saying, like, I have some pretty amazing ideas. So, okay, now we've established essentially Bonnie's new way of, and she can go back right now to MyFitnessPal, but she's going to want to start to establish her favorite meal plan based on these meals right here, right? Because from there, she's going to then take, and it becomes homework for you, where you take meal one and you go through and you start creating a bunch of different versions of meal one of things you like. Because you know what, one day you might want a shake and oats, but the next day you want an English muffin and some eggs. Another day you want something else. And like me, so my original meal plan calls for chicken, couscous, and cashews. And one of my meal cards is a Chick-fil-A grilled chicken sandwich, 5 nuggets, a medium fruit cup, and 2 of the buffalo sauces. That equals 500 calories and it hits my protein. So the key is putting it on a card so that you're not going into MyFitnessPal the next time and the next time and the next time. Like, more than anything, I mean, I'm glad we established your numbers, Bonnie, but now what's going to be more important is, like, I want to follow up with you and be like, all right, now you're going to go create that first day and start making different versions of that, and take my 400 calorie template, all of you, right? And that will help you. So the calorie multiplier, the same, times 9 for someone. Yeah, 200 pounds and 5'9". I would start at the 9. It's a good place to start, because I'll tell you, Helene, let's say that you're gaining at that would still be a red flag to show you that, wow, I'm not even really making progress at what should theoretically be a deficit. And if I've been chronically dieting for so long, You know, the only way is up from there. And it is so hard for females to grasp, but you have to remember that if you are already in a sinkhole and you are not losing it where you are, it is not to go lower. And you'll be shocked. I let them test it because not only is your body going to like have an adverse reaction, but it's even it's harder to comply. But I had a client that really wanted to do it. So I said, let's go. Let's go to 8 times body weight. You want to try it? And do you know what happened? She actually, the next time, the scale 2 weeks later was up 2 pounds. And I wanted her to see that that was inflammation. You're not gaining fat, but it started to teach her more about you stress the body, it reacts. If you coax the body, it will respond. So, Anne, I'm postmenopausal and belly fat. The chronic constipation doesn't help. My stomach distension. I eat most of my calories at night. I love my dessert to be dark chocolate dates and I love sprouted nuts. I don't eat any packaged foods. Okay, so you probably have a bit of fear of eating in this. So this is really, really common, I find in females, and I think it's why the intermittent fasting became so popular. I think it is a way to hide a version of food issues. I think it is we are afraid of food and we have been afraid of food, so we want to package it into a small window. Okay. And what that causes us to do is get afraid of running out of calories. And since we're afraid of running out of calories, we've been skipping meals in the morning and skipping stuff. Our digestion is a wreck. So for someone like you, it is trusting the process of starting to have some, you probably need to have some higher fiber things earlier in the day and start regulating. You may not even have hunger, but what you're going to learn tomorrow night in Under the Hood, and oh man, you guys are just going to, I really hope you come back and listen to this because you're just going to be blown away about what you learn about your body in that, you know, you need this, your body needs this predictability. And so, you know, it sounds like you eat, you know, good things, like you've got good quality things, but the timing of it could be wrong. Probably you know, I'd want to see what your protein is like, but you can totally build in your dark chocolate. Like I build in Lily's chocolate chips to many of my, I mean, when I say nothing is off limits, nothing is ever off limits in your diet. If you can reach now, of course, you want to start to be smart over time. Like just because I can eat it doesn't mean I should. And I mean, I'll admit a lot of my videos that I share out on our main page that are showing some of the foods, that is to lure people in to see that they can have that flexibility. Am I doing, you know, chicken sliders and tacos every other night? No, there's a lot of nights I'm just doing like potatoes, rice, chicken. Like I do keep it simple too, but I try to teach you that you can have all the things as well. But postmenopausal, are you on any HRT? Have you had labs done, Anne? Um, you know, the hard to stop eating means that you may have been a grazer like me. And so there's like that fear. You have got to be really good about doing a start and stop with your meals, stopping and sitting down, eating your food slowly, drinking water, scanning it, and really trying to honor the windows as best you can to get back into some routine. I promise you, your hormones will start to become regulated. Like my one client, the one that was, you know, 256, she wasn't even really hungry. So this was really hard for her at first. And that is a red flag in terms of metabolic health. Now we're 3 months later and she's like hungry right as that next meal comes. And she's like, I cannot believe I'm hungry eating 2,400. She goes, but in a healthy way. Like I feel I'm not sluggish anymore. I'm not lethargic. I have energy. I'm training, you know, like that's what you want, right? Um,
So I'm sorry to interrupt,
yeah.
but I'm trying to figure out all these buttons here, but I'm Anne.
Okay.
So all I'm going to say is you hit the nail on the head. And yes,
Okay.
I fear, and I'm really busy during the day. So I'm not like,
Yep.
I don't really think about it. But once I'm home, it's like,
Yes.
I just eat.
Yeah. And then your body is in like, it's afraid it doesn't know when it's because you've given it no predictability. So it's afraid it doesn't know when it's going to get the next one. And so store famine until the next night because it doesn't know the next night's really coming. Whereas the person that's consistently eating, your body knows it's coming, which is why fat loss, even, you know, as long as you're consistent with your meal timing, makes it a lot easier. So yes, I cannot stress that enough. Oh, let's see. Amy, can you comment on why having an 11 a.m. meal and a 1 p.m. meal versus 400 calories at one meal. Really just, I mean, I think what really up to you, like your calorie disbursement, like she said, I really wanted to talk to her about her lifestyle. Her lunch is, a small one. You could have them, you could literally take your 5 meals and break it evenly and break your protein evenly if that's the type of person you are in terms of your meals. It has to really be, plugged into you. Like let me see if I have and I know I didn't really want this to go over. I'm sorry, you guys, but I did have one more example if I have it here. So when I build, and this is exactly what the diets look like actually in Look Like You Train. So in Look Like You Train, it wouldn't have the client, but what it would say at the top is a body weight amount, like 130 pounds times 11, 180 pounds times 11. I've created them for every 5-pound increment from 100 pounds up to 220. Anything above that, I have a special folder for them where they actually email me personally and I guide them through where they're going to test their caloric deficit. Because we do this as a group, right? So then they come in and this is what their initial diet is going to look like. They're going to have a training day and an off day. Now, this client, she does have a pre-workout right there, right? Like she just wants to have a little shake. She has a little thing post-workout. She didn't want to have a lot post-workout because she really likes to have hers at her meat meals. She wanted 400 calories at lunch and 400 calories at dinner. Then on her off day, it's structured a little bit different. She doesn't have to have a training meal. So we combined these two and made that like a meal for her, right? And then she's got her meal 2, her meal 3. Look, her meal 3 and 4 are also 400 calories. So now she is the person that she's got 4 meals within those 2 days that if she makes 400 calorie meal cards, which she's got access to mine, she can now have every meal card possible and just like make what I do with my kids. Hey guys, go through I just tell my kids, go through here and pick out what you guys want to have for dinners this week. And then I just build it into mine. I no longer have to eat separate. I ate separate from my kids for years. Do you know that it messes them up? Have you heard of what an almond mom is? Okay, I got a 23-year-old and she sends me videos. Apparently, I was an almond mom. And you don't want to be an almond mom. Okay. You want to be the mom that like is fit, but like you don't have to sacrifice your family for it. You know what I mean? You want them to see like, wow, we get to have this on your diet. Like I have a client right now, she's down like 15 pounds and she's like, okay, now my sister's in because we went to Chick-fil-A. I'm like, oh, so Chick-fil-A was still the deal. She's like, no, she just cannot get over the fact that I have had all the things that I have had. Okay. So anyways, I appreciate you guys coming tonight. I will send out the recording tomorrow. Bonnie, if you need any help or any of you, let me just put my email in here. It is amy@leanbodiesconsulting.com. Eric tomorrow night, he focuses on what we call under the hood. And this is all that menopause, like it's funny and it's so embarrassing to admit, but he knew more about my cycle and about menopause and perimenopause than I did because, we just didn't learn about that growing up, right? So he knew more about it than me. And he is great to teach about that and really teach you more about what we do. If you are new to following us, we do have, like I said, a group coaching program. It only opens 4 times a year. So 4 times a year, it's $75 a month. It includes your nutrition. It includes your training. We have a training app. The nutrition, like I said, it's templates. We do weekly coaching calls where we troubleshoot. If you want to email me your data, like I had a client in the group that she's down 12 pounds and now we're making her first adjustment to that initial template. We help you through all of that. But more important than any of that is to learn that if you want to have a sustainable approach, whether you're in Look Like You Train, whether you are, following someone else's diet that they've built for you, is to create a system like this, that macros is not a sustainable approach. It will only serve you for as long as it's easy. I mean, really, because once you have some hard, high stressful days, it kind of goes out the window. So go through your MyFitnessPal and start looking at some of your favorite meals. Maybe they are, like you've got a bunch of favorites and all you need to do is tweak them to kind of match up to even numbers. Because that's been the key for me over the years, is just having these even numbers at meals where I just play with it. And when I go out to meals, it may mean I need to bring a couple filler meals. And I have things like that. Like I have like a little container where these are like my little 30 to 50 calorie kind of calorie stackers that if I'm out and I need to create a meal card, I can. So we will get a recording copy out to you via email. I'll also post it up in the Facebook group, and then I'll send out a link for Eric's thing tomorrow night. And just, I know he's going to be giving away on the call, I believe, 3 scholarships to Look Like You Train. So 3 people randomly, he's going to give away, you know, a round of Look Like You Train, because we start in 2 weeks, and it's going to be fun. So any questions you have, please feel free to reach out. You feel free to post it in our group or email me. All right. I hope you learned something tonight, and I hope that you're going to get away from MyFitnessPal and start using these meal cards. Okay.
Thank
Have
you
a-
so much. That was really helpful.
I'm glad it was, Bonnie. It was great for you to do it with me, and I will help you dial in. If you want to email me, Bonnie, I will help you dial in the rest of it. Let's get your numbers on paper, and then I'll really help you with some meal cards, because I want to see it through with you. All right.
I can see the tweaking where it needs to go, but
Good.
yeah, thank you.
Good. Okay. Have a great one, you guys.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Bye.
Care.
Bye.